Are you ready to go deep? Welcome to the Whole Being Zone. Discussions on the day-to-day ways we strive to play big and be whole. Welcome to the Whole Being Zone. This is Wendy Reese, your host, and today my guest is Steve Mattus. He is a coach, community manager, and director of education for Heart of Business. He's also a lovely friend, somebody that has really been a mentor to me in the business world. And I'm very excited to get to share this episode with you all because it's about a topic that matters to all of us, money. And we're going to talk about our relationship to money, how to heal that, and a very special program that Heart of Business is doing. But before we get to the episode, I want to tell you about a program that I'm doing on New Year's Eve. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is designed to help you set 2017 goals with soul. This is something that I do annually for myself, and this year I decided to open it up and invite other people to participate with me. So it is an online program. You can show up in your PJs if you want to. There will be a few people who are live with me here in Vermont that are doing it, but overall, you can join us from anywhere in the world. You're going to get many wonderful things with this, such as the 12-month Goals with Soul system. You get the Desire Map book and workbook. You get my book, The Alchemy of Yoga. You'll be a part of a private Facebook community page that has monthly office hours for the next year. So that's 12 hours of group coaching over the next year. You get the Daily Desire, a yoga practice that is based on the work that we're doing, and you get a Yoga Nidra recording, which is based on the work we're doing. This is good, juicy stuff. There's a lot there. And you can bring a friend for just $28 more because I know it is always helpful to have other people in your life that share this kind of common language and that knows the journey that you're on. You can help each other stay accountable. You can help motivate and encourage each other because you'll know, hey, this is how I want to feel. This is where I want to go in 2017. And you'll be able to have even more power. Let's just borrow from McDonald's and say you'll be supersizing your goals with soul. So you can check that out at wholebeinginc.com/soulful-goals. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. Welcome, Steve. It is so good to have you on the show finally.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you, Wendy.
So we're going to talk specifically about money today, which is a tender subject for a lot of people. And I ask you to come on the show because, one, you're a fantastic coach. And number two, because you're involved in a program that's going to be offered in January through Heart of Business called Heart of Money. So let's start with how you got involved in the whole Heart of Business thing, just to give people some idea of your background and what you do now for them.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So I became involved with Heart of Business as a student, primarily because I was starting my own business and I wanted to develop it. And one of the things that was really, really important to me, because there was so much coaching out there. There were so many places I could go to get coaching. And what I really, really wanted was a place that I could get the coaching, but that would also really honor who I was and my heart. That so much of the coaching and online programs I had done already were fine, but they felt icky and they didn't feel like me.
Right.
And so what I found with Heart of Business was that I not only got good direction for my business, but also I felt nourished along the way. which really made a huge difference. And it looked at my business as a whole. Like we had it, they're the tactical nuts and bolts things that I needed, the nuts and bolts activities that I needed to take action on, but also it helped my relationship with things around my business and with myself, including money, which if part of my relationship was unhealthy with any of these aspects, it manifested itself in my business. And so it just helped me to really have a nice holistic view that took all of me into account. And so I was a student, I learned, and I loved it so much. I wanted to be a part of the organization, and I'll spare the super long story, but I offered services to the company because I had some expertise based on my corporate background, and they were needed, and they liked me, and they liked what I provided, and I liked them. And so we just started working together, and here I am. I guess it's been almost 5 years, I think. Almost 5 years that I've been working, and I'm the director of education. So I help to organize all of our training programs and deliver them, and client service. I'm also a coach, and I also am the community manager for our Heart of Business community.
Now, I want to backtrack just a little bit because you used a word that I think is really important, and I think a lot of people may have heard it and thought, he lost me when he said my relationship to parts of my business and relationship to money. How can you have a relationship with inanimate objects?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for focusing in on that. What I have learned is that everything is about relationship. And it only takes one animate object to have a relationship. I'm the animate object. I think I'm alive. And so when I look at my computer screen or my desk or whatever, I have thoughts and feelings about it. And that's to me, it's a real basic way to talk about my thoughts and feelings about money are my relationship with money. And that can get really tangled. Money is one of those things that has great historical genealogy to it that we inherit, that we bring forward, that we carry. And society, the way society holds money, all these different things. And so we are in relationship with everything and everyone. Some of those relationships are complicated, like with money, and other relationships are like with my lamp. Like my lamp is there as long as it turns on every time I have a good relationship with my lamp. But all of a sudden the light doesn't work. What's wrong? Like all of a sudden we have a really tenuous relationship, right? And it's all about how I'm working with and dealing with and thinking about and the emotions that my lamp makes come up for me. That's my relationship.
Okay. And specific to money, since that's what we're going to be talking about today, and really looking also at how that relationship weaves through our work, our other relationships, our businesses, whatever, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, we all have some connection to money. So when you talk about the complicated relationship with money, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Money brings along with it. It is complicated. Money is dysfunctional. Our economy is dysfunctional. Capitalism in many ways is dysfunctional. And money, the way money is held, I don't want to say money is an inanimate object, is dysfunctional. But again, it's our relationship. It's generally people in general, humans' relationship with money has gotten really, really goofy. There's an enormous amount of fear around money. And it's weird because money fear can be fear of not having enough money or fear of receiving money. You might need more money, and yet you're afraid to get it because of what it means to have it, what it means about who you are as a person, what your integrity is, what your character is. We can become paralyzed. We tend to avoid it in some ways, especially if it's scarce. Again, it's one of those weird things that don't seem to make any sense. If we need it so much, we can sometimes avoid looking at it.
Yeah.
And so it gets so complicated. And it's not, one of the points I really want to make, Wendy, is that it's not your fault. Whoever's listening to this, it's not your fault that money is difficult. It's not that you're broken. It's not that you're doing it wrong. There's a lot that goes into our relationship with money. And much of what crafts that relationship isn't something you created. It's how society works. It's how the economy works. It's how capitalism works. And those things are dysfunctional in many, many ways. And that's where we live. And so, of course, we've inherited a dysfunctional relationship with money. That's why this program that we're talking about is about transforming our relationship with money. It's not get rich quick or solve all your money problems. Hopefully, you'll have some positive, tangible outcomes, but it's really about transforming your relationship, because when the relationship changes, then the outcomes can change.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you in any way. There's a sense that comes up as I hear you talking about it's not our fault that we have these relationships. There's also a part of me that says, yeah, and we have bought into them. We have not really been willing to take accountability and responsibility to step out of some of the dysfunction. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you go to any kind of addiction therapy and they say, you got to take responsibility for your life. You've got to take responsibility for your actions. So how does the Heart of Money program, and I'm asking these questions as if I've never been through the class. I actually have been through the class. So I know for me how it worked, and I will be going through it again in full disclosure because I'm at a new level in my life and I want to have a little different kind of a checkup, if you will, before I move into this next stage in my life to take my relationship to an even deeper level. But how does Heart of Money, for people who've never gone through it, how does it start to help you get a little bit more accountability and responsibility and a shift in the relationship and perspective with money?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. And I want to agree with you about the responsibility piece that you were just talking about. And what I want to comment is that we do have to step out into something new. We have to transition our relationship into something that's more functional instead of so dysfunctional. But the question then becomes, where do I step? Where do I go? Because everything around us is built on dysfunction.
Yeah.
And so that's what often keeps people stuck. Because I would love to change my relationship with money, but how? What do I do? What do I do? And it starts with an internal. Our relationship with money is an internal thing. And so to your question, that's where Heart of Money starts, and that's why we talk about change your relationship with money, transform your relationship with money. That's an internal thing. So what's interesting, it's difficult to talk about what exactly will Heart of Money do for each individual, because the internal relationship with money, those activities can look very different.
Yeah.
For some people, it might mean spending more money, actually, giving more money. For some, it might be spending less. For other people, it might mean that you need to earn more. Others, maybe in order to transform their relationship with money, they actually need to earn less. And it depends. So it really depends on what's healthy for the individual. But what Heart of Money does is it gives you a framework of safety and understanding and compassion to step into. So it's like, we're in this dysfunctional relationship. It's kind of like going to your therapist's office in a way. This isn't therapy, by the way, but just as a metaphorical illustration, it's like being able to go to a safe place where it's okay, where you're not broken, and you're given some context, some understanding about what's actually going on, not at a surface level, not even about the paper in your wallet, but about what's going on in your heart, where it all stems, where our relationship with money stems from, so that we can look at it with some safety and see it clearly. And when we see it clearly, then we have, and a Heart of Money provides this as well, very tactical nuts and bolts steps to look at our money, our assets, our liabilities, our debt, and being in healthy relationship with each of those things, and then having a path forward, how to walk forward with each of those things with care, not only for our money, but for ourselves and our families.
I like that.
Yeah.
We have had some conversation in the past, and I think this is a great place to carry on, or maybe even restart that conversation. You and I both are involved in different communities that we get to see entrepreneurs and people who want to be entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And the disconnect between where they're wanting to be, where they are, and what would be really helpful for them to do to be able to get there. So whether that be taking a part-time job or staying at the full-time job a little bit longer and really getting a better relationship with the money, or hustle, whatever it may be. What have you observed since we've had that initial conversation, months and months and months ago, I'm sure now? What do you observe in people that keep them in that place of hiding, or in that place of, I'd say, a subconscious denial?
In the framework of business or in the framework of money?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Yes, all of that. Yeah. So there's a couple things that are usually very, very present in situations like that. The first is, and I just, so the first thing I would say is making space for the emotion of it all. Because whether you're in business or you're looking at your relationship with money, and frankly, this is true. This is just one of those fundamental truths that it's important in any aspect of life, is to make space for the emotions of it. And to the piece that I want to add to that is, and this can be so scary, this is why we oftentimes shield ourselves or veil ourselves from the emotions, because it can be really uncomfortable. And so many of us have had experiences in the past where it's not safe to either experience or to show or to admit that we have certain emotions about certain things,
Yep.
And so making space for those emotions and being real about it. I think in order to do that, depending on your history and your background and your situation, doing so, finding a safe place to do that, a container where it's okay, so that you don't have to hold it all yourself. That's another one of the challenges, and why so often we stay stuck is because where do I go to get that support?
Right.
So that's part of it. One of the biggest things, and this is one of the things that we talk about a lot here at Heart of Business, and it's talked about a lot, frankly, in the Heart of Money program, is about the divine. We believe in the divine, and there's not a dogma to that. It's whatever you consider to be the divine: love, oneness, spirit, source, the universe, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That the divine matters, and that the face of the divine is also in the money, that everything is the divine. And that we can go down that rabbit hole. That's like a whole nother conversation, especially when things get complicated, right? But to treat our relationship with money, to treat our budgeting or our bills as a spiritual practice, with plenty of space to feel what we're feeling, to experience whatever we're experiencing. If we want to avoid it, I don't want to look at my bills, I can't pay them, there's too much. Give yourself space for that. If you're feeling overwhelmed, what am I going to do? And I feel so collapsed when I look at this. Make space for that. And going through the healing process of being with what's true, which is where we have to start, might take extra time. So we have to kind of build that into the process as well. Very often, either in business or looking at our money situation, we want things to change quickly. We often need them to change quickly.
Yeah.
And we have to be very realistic. We have to be very, very grounded in what's true and what's real. And so you have to allow space for that. Very often, in order for us to take action, emotional stuff needs to be cleared. And surprisingly, very often giving the space for the emotions, like just giving ourselves full permission to feel angry or scared or frustrated, whatever happens to be.
Or all of the above at the same time.
Right? Yeah, exactly. All of that, sadness, grief, all of that stuff, to even all together, is such a step that our hearts long for and are so thirsty for, that if we can just give ourselves that gift, that kind of can free up the space so that we can begin to think differently and be in a better relationship, a healthier relationship with those things. So that's kind of a long, high level answer to the question, but that's one of the key things, is making space for what is true, because it's only out of connected, inspired space that we can make connected, inspired decisions.
That is beautiful. Yeah, as you were talking about that, the image that I got is, a couple or siblings or, parent-child situation where there's so much already triggered, and one person says one thing and the other is just up in arms because it's so raw and painful to begin with, but whatever was said didn't really hold that charge to begin with. But until we're able to deal with what those triggers are, until we're able to really get clear on what is this emotion here, and we can't really see when there is something to be re-triggered by, or is it still the residual old stuff? And that's really, I think, when we take the time, and heart of business, I know for me and for many, many people, has taught a really powerful tool to do that. And I'm hoping in just a second you'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. But I think until you're able to get some tools that work for you, it's very difficult to step out of that pattern and to really be able to shift or pivot and move in a healthier direction.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so challenging to walk this path alone. I mean, if we could do it alone, I think more of us would probably do it.
Yeah.
But it's why there's so much emotionally that's uncomfortable to avoid. And there's so much in the world that enables us to avoid it.
Yeah.
There's so much. There's drinking, and there's drugs, and there's sex, and there's Facebook, and there's sports, and there's just like all this stuff that can happily distract us so we don't have to face what's really, really difficult. And I see a lot of really, really sincere, beautifully hearted people that want to face it, but they don't have support.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing that our world doesn't like build that in from a very early age, but that's kind of how things are. And so that's one of the reasons why when Mark Silver, who's the CEO and owner of Heart of Business, when he went through his Sufi training, that and he has his Masters of Divinity, that the training and the teachings there, the deep spiritual truths, were the groundwork to offer the right kind of support for this internal work, so that then you can express that through action and in the right order, as I was mentioning before. And that's one of the things that I get all excited about with when I think about Heart of Money, when I talk about Heart of Money and the other programs that we offer, because it does it in the right order. It does it in the right order. And that's so, so important.
Well, I said earlier I would share my experience, and I'll take a really quick second to share that. I lost my home in a foreclosure that was one of those very bizarre situations that shouldn't have happened. And the way that the bank set things up, though we had a buyer, the buyer couldn't buy it because of the bank. So it went into this foreclosure, which puts an immediate hit on your credit score. Mm-hmm. And there was, on top of that, a tremendous amount of shame. And though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong, it wasn't that I bought a house I couldn't afford. It wasn't that I didn't have the income coming in, but it really was a calamity. There still was so much shame around that. And I saw patterns from my parents that I perceived I was following. So that brought up more shame and humiliation from childhood. And there's just all of this stuff. And I really kind of got to a point when I went to talk to an attorney before the foreclosure actually happened. And I said, do I file for bankruptcy? What do I do to really take accountability for this? Because I don't want this to follow me. And he looked at everything and he said, you know what? You're in pretty good shape. If you have to do the foreclosure, do it, but keep paying as you would on everything else. And you'll survive this, and you'll be this, and you'll be okay. You'll be okay. And I did just that. I paid all of my credit card, all of my debts. I paid on time. And there was, when I moved to Vermont, there was some shifts that happened. And that was when the Heart of Money program was offered, I think maybe the first or second time. And I said, you know what? I'm ready to have a better relationship with my money. I'm going to go through this. And I had put my head down at that point so long that I had no idea where I was. I just still thought I had a lot of debt. Mm. And when we went through that program, what I realized was really I had less than $3,000 debt plus my student loan. And that was it.
Yeah.
And this year that foreclosure completely comes off the record. So it's an interesting thing to look at when and I wasn't somebody that was just swimming in debt, but I thought I was because of all of the shame. Yeah. So I think there's many, many reasons why people may choose to look into this class. But I want to say the number one reason is because we don't live in a world. I think there's very, very, very few people who have the luxury of being taught from an early age a very healthy relationship with money. Mm-hmm. And you owe it to yourself to create healthy relationships in your life. One of those being with money. And it will change everything.
Yes. And everything. Relationships take work.
They do.
Work.
Yeah, you can't just ignore it and expect it to be there, and you can't get mad at it and expect it to be there, and you can't, like there's all of these things that do require that work.
Right.
So
right.
Tell us a little bit about the program. Not a little bit. Tell us more about it. Like, when does it start? How many weeks is it? And the very amazing way that you have set up how to pay for the program.
Yeah, right. Yes. So we're starting Heart of Money in January of next year, 2017. And the first class actually starts on January. I'm looking at my calendar right here, and it just seems like the calendar dates are wrong. It's so weird. It's so weird how that happens. It should be it should be Wednesday, January 18th.
Okay.
Is the first class. You can probably register up right until then. Some people like to wait until the last minute, and this is a scary, honestly, if people look at this and they're, I'm not sure, and I'm a little scared, and you have that, I don't know if I'm ready for this. That's a good sign. That's actually a good sign. This is, if working with money was easy, it wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
Like I talked about a relationship with my lamp. Like, I don't need to go to a class for that. It's really easy to manage. Money is not that. So if you're feeling a lot of stuff when you think about the class, it's actually a really good sign. So we start on January 18th, and we have 8 full classes that we are going to teach. We're going to start with some pre-work that kind of the week before, and you'll kind of get some grounding in how we work. We do this beautiful exercise called Unveiling Your Jewel, which is just really, really precious. And then we have class 1 through 8, where we go through all the different pieces in our relationship with money. The way it works is that we have the material all set for you. You get it all on day 1. It's pre-recorded so that you can work with the material in the teachings during the week. And then at the end of that week, we have that live call. So like on January 18th, the live call is going, Mark, the owner and CEO of Heart of Business, the teacher is going to be there to notice themes from questions that came in that people submitted, things, common stumbling areas, so that, and then you'll have a chance to ask questions directly to Mark about your particular situation with money that everybody can benefit from, because we all share some really common things.
Right.
So the way we're offering this is from what we call Pay from the Heart. And what that means is that we are basically, to cover our costs of delivering the program, we're asking for a minimum of $30, I think it's $34, $36, something like that, something really low, especially for a class of this significance. And you can pay whatever your heart leads you to pay. And what we mean by that is looking at the material, looking at your own needs, looking at how you're going to engage, looking at all the aspects of the program and how you're going to work with it. We want to invite you to offer what you're able to offer. What will honor your heart to attend the program, and what you feel will honor us, knowing that we are genuinely open to receive whatever comes from your heart. And you can go below that minimum amount if it's going to impact your food, clothing, shelter. And there are some people who that is true for, and that's totally okay. But we believe that making it accessible to people is most important in this particular case. And so we want to really make sure that we have a way to do that. So you get to set your price.
That is so, so amazing. And I'm grateful that you guys are doing that, because I know that there are people who are listening to this that will definitely need to take up that offer. So thank you for following your hearts and doing that. Yeah. All right, let's talk about that tool. Would you be willing to lead us through a short remembrance?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. How long are you thinking?
10 minutes.
5-10 minutes, okay.
Speaks to you.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. So before we do it, I just want to define what the practice is.
Yeah.
All right. And then we can practice a little bit with money as the topic. Remembrance is a practice that is about our relationship. There's that word again, our relationship with the divine. Again, whatever that means to you. Whatever that means to you. It could be your higher self, right? It doesn't have to be anything even outside of you. It's just, your intuition, maybe, whatever. We just really want to honor, and we do honor all paths, and we want to be very inclusive in this. And that's really important. I come from a kind of a weird religious background that I have a special sensitivity around very particular paths. And so I just want to make sure it's really clear that that's open. All right. So this is about our relationship with divine. It's about connecting with our hearts and connecting then with oneness or the divine, and allowing ourselves to fill with the abundance of love that's available to us from the divine. And then looking at whatever the situation is with a nourished heart and seeing what we notice. Very often we come from the fear or the guilt or the shame, which tints the thing we're looking at through that lens. So what we want to do is we want to be in the space of love, fill up with that, and then look at it and see what shows up without expectation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, beautiful. So we'll go ahead and spend a few minutes doing so. So for everybody who's listening, I want to invite you, if you will, just to take a couple nice, deep, gentle breaths. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And just bringing your attention to yourself, to your physical body, noticing whatever it is that you notice. Along with your mind, noticing your mind might be speaking, this is weird, why are we doing this, what's going on? That's okay. Just notice. There is plenty of space and room for you to be exactly how you are. And I'll move a little bit more quickly through the process. Generally, this extends 15, 20 minutes or so, or even longer if you wish. Also noticing your emotions, just as they are right now. Noticing you don't have to make space for whatever is true for you. It's already here. It's already present. There's no need for you to be any different. And then I invite you to bring your attention to your heart, high in the center of your chest. Just allowing your attention to rest in that area of your body. And then allowing your heart, your figurative heart, to call out to whatever you perceive the divine to be. Whatever you perceive, oneness or love or source. And from your heart, this is like a calling out to a friend. And then in the silence that follows, being willing to just be with any response any sense that you have, anything that you notice afterwards. There's no right or wrong. And if you have a name that you call God, you can use that. You can actually vocally call out. That can be very helpful and nourishing as well. Remembering that there is the divine, that there's more than just you. And one of the questions it's really nourishing to start with is just asking through your heart the question, is love available even here? Is love available even here? And you may notice your mind start to go to spin with topics, other things, either about love or not about love, business, whatever. That's okay. You can notice that and then ask again, is love available even here? Even if my mind is spinning, is love available? And then to dig in just for a moment with money. I invite you to bring this topic, the essence of money, in front of your heart. I often think about holding a tray in front of my heart that's full of whatever I'm looking at, in this case, a big pile of money. And then noticing your relationship with it. Your mind will have its story. You might have emotions. Allowing yourself to really feel your reaction. How does your heart react to the presence of money? Giving yourself lots of gentleness and mercy to feel whatever it is you're feeling. And then asking again, is love available even here, even while I'm feeling shame, even while I feel greed, even when I finally feel complete having this pile of money? Is love available even there? And this is part of the work, is looking at whatever it is that we look at, our business, our families, other relationships, whatever it might be, we're looking at money and remembering the divine, that there's love and there's money. There's love and there's money. There's money and there's love. And your experience, whatever you're experiencing, you have that experience, and there's love. And there's love. Just being willing to notice how it feels to be you, without shame, without editing, to be experiencing whatever you're experiencing, and to be connected with love, with the divine. And then taking a couple another nice, deep, gentle breaths as you begin to bring your attention back, knowing that you can return to this space of connection and love at any time. Bringing your attention back to your physical self, opening your eyes, remembering that love is available even here.
That was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. There's so much more. There's so much more that's available. It's hard I still went 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Rich. It's rich. Thank you.
I'm curious, as I was listening and participating with you as you were guiding that, occasionally I will get a sense what some people will feel as they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And what came up almost took me a little bit by surprise. I heard the question, what happens if there isn't room for love here?
Mm.
And I know this is a deep subject that we could dive into, but what advice would you offer to somebody who heard the word no?
What a beautiful question. I would encourage, the question is crafted really carefully because it's a question that is asked without, the problem isn't with the no. Where the issue comes in is our relationship with the no. And so I would encourage anybody that had a no, love can't be here. Love is not here. I don't feel love, to allow themselves to experience that. This doesn't feel like love to me. And allow whatever is underneath that. What in that remembrance, what I wanted to get to, which we didn't have time for, was that there's generally, I shouldn't even say generally, I think always something underneath. As we look at our relationship with money and that stuff came up, there's stuff under that and another layer. We hear about, peeling back the onion, all that kind of stuff there. That's a great analogy. There's more there. And one of the things that we talk about in Heart of Money is about neediness. We're needy humans. Humans are needy. There's a reason why love doesn't feel available. What's underneath that? What's underneath it? The purpose isn't to convince yourself that love is available or to try to manufacture some fake belief that, oh yeah, everything is divine. And, if everything's divine, everything's just, wonderful. That's just not true. That's not based in any kind of reality at all. And so allow yourself to be real. That's the gateway in my experience and in working with a lot of clients. That's the gateway to allow yourself to be in the space of not experiencing love. That's okay. That's fine. Which, by the way, doesn't mean that it's not there or that it's accessible. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. Is love available to you if you don't feel it? That's the question. So,
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Great answer. Thank you. Well, I know we were originally supposed to go 30 minutes and we have far exceeded that time. So I want to thank you for your time and thank you for giving us a little different perspective on money, especially at the end of the year when we're so frantically in this cultural shopping frenzy. Mm-hmm. And also at a time when we're really looking back at how we did this year and looking forward to how we want to do next year. This is a big topic, and I really want to encourage everybody to check out this class, and I will have my link on the show notes for people to go check it out. It is a pay from the heart payment, so everybody, it's available to everybody, and I really honor that. So thank you. Thank Mark Formey, the owner, CEO of Heart of Business, and the Sufi master who has taught me much.
Yeah.
And you too, you have so much wisdom, and I just want to extend the invitation. Will you come back on the show when we can talk about other deep subjects?
I would love that. I would love that very much. Yeah. Thank you for the invitation.
Great. We will have you back. Is there anything else you would like to ask of the listeners?
There is one other thing. Whenever you enroll in an online course, many people get stressed that they're going to get their money out of it, or it's going to be really beneficial or whatever. There's two things I want to mention. You can enroll and attend through the first class, and if it really, really does not work for you, after the first class, you can get your money back. We realize that we're not for everybody. We can say that. We're really not for everybody, and that's okay. But if the page resonates, Wendy will provide the link. If the page resonates, I want to encourage you to take a leap and to step in if it resonates, if it feels good for you. The other thing is that you don't have to do it perfectly. We have assignments every week, and there's the audio recordings. It might be too much for you to dig into all the Heart of Money material in the first go round. If you can only bear to face a little bit of it every week, that's okay. You can't get it wrong. I wouldn't even say this is wrong, but what will keep us stuck is by not facing the subject. That doesn't mean you have to get face to face right up on it and not turn away. I just want to encourage you to take a moment to allow yourself to experience a safe place to look at money from a different perspective, to begin to heal the relationship. Even if it's a tiny step, that's okay. That's okay. You can't get this wrong. You can only turn away. And I want to invite you to turn towards and give it a try if it feels good. That's it.
It's a beautiful ask.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we will be talking to you again soon, my dear.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you will come aboard and take the class. You'll be able to find the link on our show notes page, wholebeinginc.com/WBZ125. And also, while you're over there, check out the Soulful Goals class. I think both of these will really put you in a position in 2017 to create the life that you really desire. These are not quick fix. These are things that really will lay a solid foundation for you. They'll make a big difference. So check them out. And one last ask, please give a rating or review at iTunes. And if you are digging this show, share it with a friend. That's how I know that we're offering the kind of information that you're enjoying, and it motivates me to keep going. So until next time, be whole.